never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 5 years now. We met in college, and I honestly thought we were solid. Things weren't perfect, but I trusted her, and she seemed to trust me. We were planning our wedding, and everything was supposed to be perfect, or so I thought. At first, the signs of trouble were small, little things that, looking back, should have set alarms off. Lisa started being more secretive about her phone. She'd hide it when I entered the room, quick to dismiss my questions if I ever caught her texting. She also started working late more often, claiming it was important meetings or last-minute projects. I didn't like it, but I convinced myself she was busy, maybe stressed. Plus, she's always been a little bitchy when she's stressed, snapping at me over small stuff. I figured she was just overwhelmed with wedding planning and work. Then came the night before the wedding. I was helping her pack her dress into the car, and I noticed her phone buzz. Usually, I'd ignore it or not care, but this time, I felt a strange urge to look. I glanced at her screen and my stomach dropped. There was a message from someone. "Can't wait to see you tonight. It's going to be so good." No name, no emoji, just that. My heart started pounding. I thought I was imagining it, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I was about to ask her, but she caught me staring and quickly snatched the phone away. The next day, I was a nervous wreck trying to keep everything together. The ceremony was a blur. I remember her walking down the aisle, looking stunning, and I felt a mixture of happiness and dread. After the vows, we took some photos, and I kept glancing at her phone, hoping for some sign, some confirmation that I wasn't losing my mind. And then, a few days later, I found out the truth. It happened accidentally. I was cleaning up the guest room, trying to get everything ready for our honeymoon. I decided to check her closet, just to make sure I didn't forget anything. That's when I saw a pair of unfamiliar shoes, black, sharp, definitely not hers. I looked closer and found a small, crumpled receipt tucked into the side of the box. It was for a hotel downtown, paid with her card. The date was just a week before our wedding. My heart started racing. I knew I had to dig deeper. I went through her emails and messages. It wasn't hard to find more evidence. There were late-night conversations, flirtatious texts, even some explicit stuff. Most disturbingly, she had admitted to her best friend, Madison, that she had slept with the best man, Jason, right before the wedding, and that she was so damn good at hiding it. She told Madison that she was just having fun and couldn't resist Jason, who was supposed to be her friend and my best man. The worst part, she kept lying to my face, acting like everything was fine. She told me she loved me, said I was crazy for thinking otherwise, and that I was overreacting. I was numb, honestly. I didn't want to believe it, but the evidence was there, clear as day. I confronted her that night. I told her I knew everything, the affair, the hotel, the texts, and her reaction. Oh, she flipped, said I was paranoid, insecure, and that she'd never cheat on me. That Jason was just a friend, and the hotel was for some work event she forgot to tell me about. She accused me of spying, of being overly jealous, and called me possessive for even questioning her. It was like talking to a brick wall. She was bitchy, dismissive, and completely unremorseful. I felt like my world was falling apart. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept replaying everything, the happy moments, the plans, the future we talked about, and it all felt like a lie. I was furious, crushed, betrayed, and honestly, I didn't know what to do. How could she lie to my face and then turn around and deny everything? I thought I knew her, but I was starting to realize I didn't know her at all. This was just the beginning of a long, painful road, and I could feel the storm inside me building up. The days that followed were a blur of chaos. I couldn't focus on anything but what I had uncovered. Every time I looked at Lisa, I saw the lies behind her eyes. She kept trying to dismiss it, saying I was overreacting, that Jason was just a mistake, a one-time thing, and that I was making a mountain out of a molehill. But I knew better. I knew that her words were just smoke and mirrors. The woman I thought I knew was hiding something dark, something rotten. One night, after a particularly heated argument, I decided I'd had enough. I confronted her again, this time more assertively. I told her I couldn't stay in this marriage if she kept lying to me, if she kept hiding things. Her reaction was classic. She rolled her eyes, scoffed, and called me possessive again. She said I was insecure, that I didn't trust her, that I was just jealous because I'd lost control. She told me I was crazy and that I needed therapy if I thought she was cheating. I was stunned at how cold and bitchy she was being. It was like she was trying to gaslight me into believing I was the problem. I decided then that I needed to think carefully about my next move. I couldn't keep living in this state of constant suspicion. I started to consider getting a lawyer, talking to a therapist, and maybe even hiring a private investigator. I was trying to piece together how she managed to keep everything hidden for so long, how she could be so callous about everything. It was clear she had been lying, manipulating, and hiding her affair with Jason from the start, and I had been blind to it all. I also reached out to Jason, just a quick message on social media, asking him what the hell was going on. I didn't expect much, but I needed to hear his side. His reply was cold. He admitted that he slept with Lisa, that it was hot, and that they'd had some secret rendezvous before the wedding. He also said she was wild, and that she loved the thrill of sneaking around. Hearing that from him made my stomach turn. It confirmed everything I already suspected. Lisa had lied to my face about her relationship with Jason, and she'd played me for a fool. The betrayal cut deep. I thought about all the moments we shared, the quiet nights, our vacations, the plans we made for the future. I felt sick. How could she do this to me? How could she lie so effortlessly? My mind kept circling back to her, saying we're just friends, just before the wedding, as if that was supposed to mean something. It was all bullshit. I knew she'd been lying the entire time. The woman I married was someone else entirely, someone selfish, manipulative, and entirely unfaithful. I also started noticing other things I'd overlooked. She was more distant, more defensive, even when I tried to talk to her normally. She'd snap at me over tiny stuff, like she was angry at the world or maybe just at herself. I tried to ignore it, but it was hard. Every day I felt more like a stranger in my own life. The trust was shattered. Every little gesture from her felt like a lie now. I couldn't believe I'd been played for a fool, and it stung worse because I'd loved her, or at least I thought I did. That night I stayed up late, staring at the ceiling, wondering what I'd done wrong, what I'd missed. I kept telling myself I should be angry, and I was. Furious, actually. But beneath that was a deep, aching sadness, that I'd lost this woman not just to another man but to her own selfishness. I never thought she could be so bitchy, so manipulative. She's the type who acts like she's innocent, but deep down she was just using her charm, her looks, to get away with murder. I knew I had to make a decision soon. I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. Every day was a battle between my head and my heart. I wanted to believe there was a way to fix this, that she'd come clean and we could somehow salvage what was left. But every new lie, every sneaky lie, just pushed me further away. The betrayal was too raw, too real, and I had no idea if I could ever forgive her, or if I even wanted to. All I knew was that my trust was shattered, and I was left standing at the edge of a chasm I didn't know how to cross. After a few days of trying to process everything, I finally decided I couldn't stay in limbo anymore. I needed answers, and I needed space to think. I told Lisa I was leaving for a while, just to clear my head, I said. She looked at me with her usual bitchy smirk, rolling her eyes, and said I was overreacting. Again, that I was making it all up in my head, but I didn't care. I packed a bag and left, not telling her exactly where I was going, just that I needed to get away from her for a bit. The house felt like a prison. Every corner, every piece of furniture reminded me of what I'd lost. I stayed at my brother's place for a couple of days, trying to gather my thoughts. I kept replaying everything, her lies, her dismissiveness, her cold attitude. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind. It was like waking up from a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. During those days, I also reached out to a few friends I trusted. I needed honest opinions, not just my own swirling chaos. They all agreed that Lisa was acting suspiciously, bitchy, dismissive, lying constantly. Some told me to just cut my losses and walk away, that she never loved me and was just using me. Others said I should confront her again, demand the truth, and decide then what to do. Honestly, I was torn. Part of me still loved her, even after everything, but the other part was furious. Furious that she'd played me, that She'd lied so effortlessly and that she'd slept with Jason right before our wedding. One night I decided I had to go back. I wanted to see her face, to hear what she had to say. I wasn't sure if I was hoping for an apology or just some kind of explanation that made sense. When I got back to the house, she was waiting for me in the living room. Her hair was a little disheveled, and she looked annoyed, probably because I'd left without telling her. She crossed her arms and gave me that bitchy smirk again. "So you're back," she said, voice dripping with sarcasm. "Did you finally figure out I'm not the whore you think I am?" I looked at her, feeling my blood boil. I wanted to scream, to tell her how much I knew, how much she'd lied, but I held back. Instead, I said, "Let's just talk. I need to hear everything. No more lies, Lisa, no more bullshit." She rolled her eyes again, but finally sat down. "Fine, you want the truth. You already know most of it. Jason and I had sex more than once. We did it all over town, everywhere, and I loved it. It was exciting, and I didn't care about your stupid wedding. I wanted to feel alive, and Jason made me feel alive. As for the hotel, yeah, that was for work, but I didn't tell you because I knew you'd freak out. You always do. Honestly, I never loved you, never really. I just stayed because it was easier than leaving." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I felt numb, like my world was imploding. That's when I realized the worst. Lisa was telling the truth, and she was proud of it. She was proud of how she'd betrayed me, how she'd lied, how she'd used her sexuality as a weapon. I couldn't believe I'd spent so much time loving someone who was so bitchy, so manipulative. But here, where it gets even more complicated. I was angry, yes, but I was also hurt, devastated. I felt like I'd been played for a fool and that I'd been stupid to believe in us. I kept thinking, how did I not see it? How did I miss all those signs? And then I wondered if I really wanted to fix this, or just get out before I was completely destroyed. I told her I needed time, that I couldn't just jump into anything right now. She snapped and called me insecure, pathetic, and then threw in a few choice words about how she's better off without me, that she was done pretending and that she was going out with her friends. That was her way of saying she didn't care anymore, that she'd moved on already. As she stormed out, I sat there, feeling emptier than ever. I knew I had to make decisions, big ones. I thought about lawyers, about saving what little dignity I had left, about whether or not I could even look at her the same way again. I kept asking myself how I'd let it get this bad, how I'd been so blind for so long. The pain was sharp, and I wasn't sure if I'd ever get past it. But one thing was clear: this wasn't just a betrayal. It was a war I wasn't sure I could win. The next few days were a nightmare. I stayed at my brother, trying to keep my head straight, but every time I closed my eyes, her face, her lies, her smug smirk haunted me. I felt like I'd been sucker punched, then stomped on, then left to bleed out. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling back to everything she'd said, the truth she finally told me, the lying she'd done, the sex with Jason. All of it kept echoing in my head. I knew I had to do something. I couldn't keep living like this, waiting for her to come back and maybe say she was sorry or that she made a mistake. I needed to take control. So I started planning my move. First, I called a lawyer. I wanted to know my rights, what I could do. I also reached out to a private investigator, someone who could dig up more details, maybe even catch her in the act if she was seeing Jason again. I needed proof, solid proof, to back up what I already knew. One thing I kept thinking about was her attitude. She acted like she didn't care, like I was just an inconvenience to her. She threw her words at me, calling me insecure, pathetic, and all that other bullshit. But I saw the cracks in her armor. The way she snaps at everyone, the way she tries to act like she's the queen bee. Honestly, it made me realize she's the one who's insecure, that all her bitchy attitude is just a cover-up for how deeply she's messed up inside. So I started watching her. I followed her around town, kept track of her movements when she said she was working late. I didn't want to be obvious, but I needed to know if she was seeing Jason again. It didn't take long to find out. One afternoon, I saw her entering a fancy hotel downtown. Her makeup was fresh, her hair perfectly styled. My stomach clenched. I followed her in and waited outside. She came out an hour later, looking flushed but smug. I caught her in the act. She was with Jason. That moment, seeing her with him, was like a punch to the gut. I had enough evidence now. I knew what I had to do. I decided I'd confront her again, but this time I'd be ready. I wanted her to know I wasn't some naive fool anymore. I wasn't going to let her keep lying to my face and pretending everything was fine. If she wanted to play her games, I'd play too. The next day, I set up a meeting at a nearby park. I told her I needed to talk, that I had important questions. She showed up, still her bitchy, dismissive self, acting like she was the queen of the world. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "Lisa, I know about Jason, about the hotel, the sex, everything. Don't even try to deny it. I've seen enough." Her face froze for a split second, then she scoffed. "Oh, so now you're spying on me? It's just pathetic. You're just jealous, that's all. Jason's just a friend, you're imagining things." I shook my head. "No, Lisa, I've got the proof, the receipts, the hotel footage, and I know you've been lying from day one. You slept with Jason right before our wedding, didn't you? That's why you've been so damn bitchy lately, because you're guilty as hell." Her eyes narrowed and she crossed her arms. "Look, I don't have to explain myself to you. You're just insecure, remember? You're making a huge deal out of nothing." I was stressed, okay? About the wedding, about everything. Jason's just a friend. I didn't do anything wrong. You're overreacting because you're a jealous little man who can't handle the truth. I felt my blood boil. I couldn't believe how she was twisting everything, how she was trying to make me the bad guy. But I also realized that arguing with her was pointless. She was stubborn, manipulative, and really good at hiding her true colors. Whatever I said, she'd deny, lie, or turn it around on me. But I wasn't about to let her gaslight me anymore. I told her, "Look, I've had enough. I've seen what I need to see. Either you tell me the truth now or I'm done. No more games, no more lies." She looked at me, her bitchy smirk still in place, and then she just shrugged. "Fine, whatever, do what you want, but I'm not sorry. I don't regret sleeping with Jason. Maybe you should look in the mirror and ask yourself why I didn't want to be with your sorry ass." At that moment, I knew everything I needed to know. She was completely unapologetic, completely selfish. Her lies, her attitude, they all made sense now. She'd been using me, playing me for the fool, and now she didn't even care. It was like she enjoyed her little game. That night I sat alone, feeling emptier than ever. I realized that this betrayal wasn't just about the sex or the lies. It was about trust, respect, and love. And I had none of those left. I started contemplating small steps, moving out, filing for divorce, cutting her out of my life completely. I knew I couldn't stay with someone who thought cheating and lying were just ways to have fun. I deserved better. Even if it hurt like hell to walk away, I knew I had to do it, because staying would only turn me into someone I wouldn't recognize anymore. The decision to leave was not easy, but it became inevitable. Every day I spent agonizing over what I'd found out, over her betrayal, made me realize I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. I started packing my things quietly, trying to keep it all together, but inside I was a mess. My mind kept swirling with questions. How could she be so damn selfish? How long had she been lying? And most of all, why did I stay so long before finally seeing her for what she really was? I contacted a lawyer that same week. I needed legal advice, especially knowing she'd probably try to spin everything her way. I also decided I'd get a divorce. I couldn't stay married to someone who clearly didn't love me, who had sex with my best man right before our wedding, and who lied every step of the way. I told her I was leaving for good, that this was the end of us, and her reaction was classic Lisa, disgustingly bitchy. She scoffed, rolled her eyes, and called me pathetic again. Said I was just jealous and insecure, that she was a free spirit, and that I was too weak to handle her. She told me I was overreacting, like she always did, and that I was wasting my time trying to control her. Honestly, hearing her talk like that made me realize I was better off without her. I didn't want to be with someone who thought cheating and lying were just part of living. I moved out a few days later. The house felt cold and empty without her. Walking through it, I kept thinking about all the moments I thought were real, her smile, her kisses, our future plans, and how they'd all been nothing but lies. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and angry. But at the same time, I felt relief. It was like I'd been carrying a massive weight on my shoulders, and finally I'd set myself free. In the days that followed, I started to rebuild my life. I focused on work, seeing friends, and trying to heal. But the pain lingered. I couldn't shake the image of her with Jason, the way she looked at him like she was happy, alive, and finally herself. Part of me wanted to lash out, to tell everyone what she did, to make her pay for what she'd done. But I knew that wouldn't bring peace. It wouldn't undo the damage. Instead, I took a different approach. I started therapy, something I should have done earlier, and worked on forgiving myself for trusting her for so long. I knew I was a good man, but I had trusted the wrong person. I had to accept that some betrayals are simply too deep to fix, and that walking away was the only way to save what's left of my dignity. Looking back, I realize I learned a lot from this nightmare. Trust is fragile, and some people will do anything to hide their true nature. I also learned that sometimes the hardest thing you can do is walk away from someone you love, even if it tears you apart. Because holding on to lies, to betrayal, only destroys you from the inside out. And no matter how much it hurts now, I know I'll come out stronger on the other side. If there's one thing I want others to take from my story, it's this: don't ignore the signs. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And most importantly, don't let anyone, no matter how bitchy or charming, take your trust for granted. Because once it's gone, it's almost impossible to get back. Now, sitting here reflecting on everything, I realize I've come a long way from that first day of betrayal. It's been brutal, no doubt about it. But I've learned something crucial. You can't let someone else's lies define you. I used to think love meant trusting blindly, but now I see that love is about respect, honesty, and mutual trust. When those are broken, there's no point pretending everything's okay. Getting out of that toxic situation was the hardest thing I ever did, but also the best. It's opened my eyes to red flags I never wanted to see, and it's made me stronger. I'm not perfect, and I still get angry sometimes, especially when I see her out, acting like she's the victim, or worse, acting like she's moved on. But I remind myself that I deserve better. I deserve someone who respects me, who values me enough not to cheat behind my back, and who doesn't lie to my face. The thing about betrayal is that it leaves scars, but those scars can heal. It takes time, patience, and a lot of self-work. I've been focusing on myself, my health, my career, and rebuilding my confidence. I've realized I don't need her approval or her lies to feel complete. I've started dating again, slowly, cautiously. And honestly, it's refreshing to meet people who are genuine, who communicate openly, and who don't treat me like I'm just some fool to be lied to. If I could give one piece of advice to anyone reading this, it's this: trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't dismiss the signs. And if you do find out someone you love has been lying and cheating, don't be afraid to walk away. It's going to hurt, but it's better to be alone than in a relationship built on deception. You're worth more than that. Looking back, I see this nightmare as a lesson, a really painful, brutal lesson, but a lesson nonetheless. It's made me realize my own strength, my boundaries, and what I should never accept. I hope anyone else going through something similar finds the courage to face it. Because in the end, the truth might hurt at first, but it's the only way to truly move forward. And I'm finally doing that. Moving forward, one step at a time.